Howdy, howdy everyone. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope life has been treating you kindly, and if it isn't, I hope this video adds some comfort. And so, as you may have noticed, I haven't been on BookTube in a hot minute. I know. I didn't mean to take a break for as long as I've had, but life was lifing offline, and I figured, hey, let's take a step back and come back to BookTube when I'm good and ready. And so now's the time. Woo! And so in this time that I've been off, I've been reading quite a bit, really trying to put my phone down because, they were right. It really is that damn phone. And so I'm going to talk about, let me see how many books I have on my list. One, two, three, four. I have 6 books to talk to you all about. And I'm going to say these are just books that I've read lately that I liked enough to want to talk about on this channel. Let's permanent that. I don't even know how I'm going to title this video. Like, some of the books I read lately, some good books I've read lately. We'll see what future me is thinking later on. And so, without further ado, let's get on into it. The first book I have to share with you all today is Rental House by Waiki Wong. And in this, we're introduced to Karu and Nate, a married couple that met back in undergrad. They're dink, dual income, no kids. Karu is Chinese, and Nate is white, and basically we're chronicling their experience at a rental house. I think every year or so they take time off or go on summer vacation and travel to a house that they rent for a week or so. But this time is especially different because their parents come to visit. Now, it is important to notice that Karu and Nate, they come for very different backgrounds despite meeting at the same college, which I believe is Yale. And so Karu and her family, Chinese immigrants, very educated, very well-to-do, while Nate's family is white in rural America, part of the working class. And so their families very much clash despite the compatibility that Karu and Nate share. And so they the in-laws don't come in at the same time. They sort of cycle it out because I want to say like this book is set during 2021 mid-COVID era, which can't believe we're at a point where we can now read about COVID in books. Anyhow, and so Karu's parents come into town first, and Karu feels so much stress and pressure to want to perform essentially as the good, dutiful daughter and prevent as few questions as possible during her parents' stay. I remember she's cleaning a lot, really just trying to make sure everything's in order. And so that goes as one would expect given the life that Karu has and the relationship she has with her parents, and Nate sort of just taking the back seat in that. And then a week or a couple of days pass by and Nate's family comes into town, and it's a completely different experience. Um, the topic of race and just like political matters is more explored once Nate's family comes into town. And it's just the overall book, I just found myself thinking like, huh, okay. Like, it had me thinking about adulthood in a new way because I know how important it is when choosing a life partner to meet people or choose someone who is similar to you. You guys share values to create a more safe environment for you and your partner. And I guess another layer to that one maybe should consider is, what about the family? Is my partner's family like me, or are they safe people for me to be around? And it was just an interesting theme, idea component to have witnessed and seen explored in Rental House. My takeaway from it is that it is a very complicated thing, and I'm looking back, I'm like, okay, how big of this component is relevant in the prospect of choosing a life partner? I don't know just yet, and I still have time to figure it out, but it was a good read. I found it to be interesting. Next work I wanted to share is The Undocumented Americans by Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. And in this, it is a nonfiction book, memoir, part research, and as the title suggests, we're looking at the undocumented American community with Carla growing up undocumented herself in the United States. She sort of goes on this expedition throughout various parts of the country, interviewing different aspects of undocumented communities throughout the U.S. Her work very much humanizes the community, which I feel is so important now more than ever. And so, as I mentioned, it's part one more. So she mixes in her own experiences growing up undocumented with these really compelling interviews. And it was just one of those books that got me right in the center of my chest, right? Because it was just so moving. That's really the best way that I could describe it. This was, I believe, either her first book she put out or her first nonfiction book she put out in 2020. Her more recent work is Catalina, a book that I read earlier this year as well. And yeah, Carla is just someone who I really want to keep up with writing wise in moving forward. The next book I have to share is Reclaiming Our Space, How Black Feminists Are Changing the World from the Tweets to the Streets by Feminista Jones. I had discovered this book through the Freedom Readers Book Club ran by Shay the Reader. It was the book of the summer, I forget which month. And so, funny story with this book, pun maybe intended. I had started this book. I was on track to keep up with the book club schedule, but then, like I mentioned, life was lifing, and so I paused the book for not just like a day or two, a week or two, but like a couple months. And so by the time that I picked it up and finished it, Freedom Readers was already on a completely other book, but I was like, no, I'm going to finish the book anyways because I really want to read more nonfiction, and I was really interested in what the book had to say. And so I'm glad that I paused it and didn't forget about it and came back to it. And so essentially, as the title suggests, we're looking at the evolution of Black feminism in the age of social media. Feminista Jones talks a lot about her experiences growing up on online spaces, especially Twitter, um, blogging, websites, and just like how she used social media and how other Black women have used social media to promote Black feminism and how to just have much needed conversations that maybe aren't happening as much in real life. And it talked a lot about different movements that Black women have championed on social media, a lot of hashtags, and just the way that Black women are very good at setting the stage for important conversations. They're trendsetters, and how oftentimes corporations will use that to their advantage. And it was just a really great read. I found myself laughing at times despite it being a nonfiction book because Feminista Jones is just very witty with her writing. She tells it how it is, and it was just a really great read. 2025 for me, I've been reading a lot of books on Black feminism, or maybe not even a lot, but just more than I normally would, and I'm glad this one is in my repertoire of books that I've read. My next book to share is Little Movements by Lauren Morrow. We're introduced to Layla, a Black dancer turned choreographer in the New York northeastern part of the United States. She was invited to be a choreographer at I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, I'm going to say a residency in, what state was it? Like Vermont. And so she packs up her life and leaves her husband and goes off and does her thing. And she finds very quickly that the residency has a bit of a diversity issue and that she is the first Black artist there in a very long time. And it's clear that the directors really want her to take her, well, I really want Layla to take her work in one direction, while Layla's very much of the no, this is not who I want to be known as, it's not what I want to do. And so there's a lot of back and forth and her time there trying to figure out who she is and who she wants to, and what she wants to present in her work. All the while she's dealing with some pretty hard stuff in her personal life involving her husband, which I will say left me very annoyed. And so Little Movements, this is a book that actually just recently came out. I want to say last month in September. I very much enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat flipping through it. I read it on my iPad. And yeah, it was just nice to read a book about the dance world, having grown up a dancer myself. And so it was just like a little blast from the past kind of moment for me. The second to last book I have to share with you all today is Homebodies by Tembe Denton Hurst. And in this, we're introduced to Mickey. Mickey is a Black writer in New York writing for this beauty company publication, and she's doing well for herself. But then things take a turn when she is let go from her job, and chaos ensues from there. And not only that, her relationship with her longtime partner Lex also takes a turn for the worse, and next thing you know, she finds herself on the Amtrak back home to Maryland. And so in this book, it was, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, for one, I saw a lot of myself in Mickey, me being a young black woman myself. Although there are times where I was side-eyeing Mickey like, girl, why are we doing this right now? But I will say that all the praise on the front of this cover, on the back of this cover, and online is very much well-deserving. And I'm interested in seeing more of what Tembe has to put out. And last but certainly not least, we have How to Protect Bookstores and Why, The Present and Future of Bookselling. This is a work in which Danny Kane, a book lover and bookstore owner, goes across the country, actually not even the country, but as well as Canada and France, visiting local bookstores, interviewing employees and owners to make the case as to why we need to protect bookstores, like small local bookstores, against forces like Amazon. And it was just such a good read. As you all know, I love local bookstores, also known as indie bookstores. And so when I saw this at Greenlight Bookstore in Brooklyn, I was like, I gotta have it, I gotta read it. And I just felt so enlightened flipping through the pages and reading about each of the bookstores that Danny highlighted. He visited a total of 12 bookstores, one of them that I have been to, Loyalty Bookstores in Washington, D.C. Hey, and a bunch of other stores that I have on my travel list to really get me traveling all over the place to see. And my biggest takeaway from this is that small local bookstores are an important source of community. Yes, they provide economic impact, which is good and all, but it's the community aspect that is super duper important in my mind and in Danny's mind. And it's so important that we do all that we can to protect them, especially as this ongoing cultural war of banning books from schools, of censorship is on the rise in the United States. And yeah, it's really definitely got me thinking more about local bookstores in a more researchy academic way. We talk a bit about radical bookstores, feminist bookstores in this book, and I've visited quite a number of those, and so I'm very much interested in doing more research on them at some point. Maybe I'll make it a personal curriculum idea. Who knows? But yeah. I highly recommend this book for all book lovers everywhere. Alright, those are all the books I had to talk to you all about today. I really wanted to keep this short and sweet because it is my first video in a while, and honestly, if I wait too long to talk about a book, all the details just get jumbled. And so yeah, that's it. Let me know what you all have been reading lately. Let me know if any of these books have caught your interest or you've read them before. And that's all. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!